Now more than ever, you need technology you can rely on.
頼れる人ですよね。
I'm a Dell Technologies advisor.
Ich auch.
我也是。
我aussi.
And if you're a small business, we're with you.
We are with you.
Estamos com você.
We want to help.
So we'll be right here.
At home, answering your calls, providing support,
And standing by you every step of the way.
Bye-bye.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Thanks for being here at this event. Today, we are pleased to welcome Erik Day, a very special guest, to join us as our keynote speaker. Erik Day is the head of Dell Technologies, small business division in North America, driving initiatives that support the company's goal around helping entrepreneurs scale and prosper. Day has been at Dell Technologies for more than 20 years and has held multiple positions in sales, merchandising, and marketing leadership. Day is actively involved in Dell's Women's Entrepreneur Network, ensuring underrepresented women entrepreneurs to get access to resources, including capital, new markets, networks, and technology. He's also the global chair of Dell Technologies Pride, Employee Resource Group, and sits on the board of directors for Out and Equal Workplace Advocates. Day has also served as a strategic advisor to Gender Cool, a newer growing nonprofit focused on transgender youth movement. He earned his Bachelor's of Arts degree in psychology, MBA from Southern Methodist University in Dallas, and was awarded Poets and Quants 100 Global Best and Brightest Embers of 2018. With that, I request you all to give full attention to Erik and help me welcoming Erik to the virtual stage. Erik Day.
Thank you so much for that introduction, Minnie. Just to give me a minute while I share my screen so that our audience today can see the share. So you should be able to hopefully see my screen now. Minnie, can you just make sure that everyone can get in presentation mode?
Yep, we can see that.
Wonderful. So I think it is on everyone's mind that we are all living in a new normal, given that we were all here on Zoom to talk about today's topic. And I thought it was an important topic to talk about what technology means in our new normal. So for us at Dell Technologies, we have now been at home since March 9th, which is about 4 months and 19-ish days. And I have to be honest, as somebody that's been at Dell for 21 years, that has been a new normal for me. I am an in the office kind of guy. I think that especially when you're building a growing business, whether you're a small business, a medium business, or even a large business like Dell Technologies, networking and face-to-face meetings and human connection is very, very important. And so we have all at Dell Technologies had to get used to something very, very different. And luckily, Dell has been trying to be on the forefront of remote working for about a decade now. And we have been very lucky to have the infrastructure, to have the technology in order to make that a seamless transition. But we also know that that has not been the same story for everyone. So I thought I would use my time today to talk about what are the critical elements of that new normal and what it would take from a technology standpoint for growing businesses to think about as they transition to a much more hybrid version of what work looks like. And so with that said, I am going to, walk you through 3 different, I think, critical components of what the right technology solution looks like in a both work in the office and potentially work at home solution. And there are around 3 critical parts of, I think, what is on everyone's mind from a technology standpoint. The first is security, which, as we have all seen, the amazing response from Zoom, who was obviously seeing some security risks when we all went to the work from home environment. They have obviously done amazing work on the security front, as working with other companies to ensure that they and many others work on ensuring our employees' families are secure as they use technology and more in their work environment, whether it's work from home, learn from home, study at home. We're also going to talk about the cloud today. I think that is probably, as I go around the circuit, if you would, and talk to different various growing businesses, this is probably the conversation that comes up the most. What is the difference between public cloud and private cloud? Should I have both? Should I be 100% public cloud? So we want to make sure that in this new normal, we talk about that, because it's so important to talk about business continuity. We talk about productivity of our team members while they're at home, and your cloud infrastructure plays a huge role in the way that you actually take care of your data, store your data, transfer your data, and so we'll talk about that. And finally, scalability. What I've noticed about small and emerging businesses is that they grow at a rapid rate. And given the time that we're going through now, there are going to be more and more innovation, more and more invention, more and more new businesses that start up because of the way that we responded to this pandemic. And while that is good for the entrepreneur space and good for the startup space, it also means that people need to think about scalability and technology scalability in a much different way. So I'm going to try to tackle that in the next 15 minutes, and then I want to leave room for questions from the audience as well. So I will hit on security first. Now, I know that coming to these conferences, my job is not to scare everybody, but I think it's important to make sure that we also understand the facts. The first fact is that 4,000 ransomware attacks happen every day. 90% of small and medium businesses in the United States do not use the proper data protection. It is amazing to me to think that as consumers become small business owners become startups, startups become medium businesses, the thought of this assumption that you're always secure because of the technology you buy is something that lasts, I think, until you ultimately get into the enterprise. And I think it's important that people understand that data protection is a very important conversation we have to have from the very start. The third point is that the average smaller or emerging business normally has a compromised bank account at the average of $32,000. So if you think about you starting your business, your average revenue, what ultimately that means to lose $32,000, it's a pretty big number, and something that people should kind of hold dear as they protect their assets so that these things don't happen in the future. Finally, and probably the most scary of these data points is that 60% of startups will potentially fail, go out of business within 6 months of a cyber attack. As you are growing your business and as you have that core group of customers, the customer's trust is so incredibly important. And if there is any type of data breach or any type of customer information gets out into the dark web or into a hacker's hands, et cetera, that obviously loses a little bit of faith from those customers. And when those customers are so dear at the beginning, it's so very important that we retain them. And cybersecurity threats are one of those ones that can kind of lose trust in a customer base very, very quickly. And so the reason I tell you all these things is that it's incredibly important at the very beginning of talking about a technology infrastructure. And as you send employees home and as people are working from these very remote databases that are very remote workplaces, that they are thinking about, or you are thinking about for your company, what type of security is not only in potentially your cloud infrastructure, which we'll talk soon, but also is on each individual workspace. Whether that is more of a Chrome cloud-based infrastructure, whether that's on a Windows infrastructure, or whether that's on an iOS infrastructure. Given that we're working in these modern environments and there's so many different kind of virtual work and data coming in, it's important that each one of those workspaces has a security solution that works on top of ensuring that your infrastructure is also secure. Now, you could have a completely public cloud infrastructure, but as a small and emerging business, or those of you that support small and emerging businesses, it's important that you're talking to your providers of who is taking care of your data on their security practices. It's very easy to just assume when you work with these big organizations that your data is going to be secure, but that's not always the case. And it's always so important to ensure that you are always asking the right questions on ensuring everything is secure from the end user to your cloud to your potential on-prem infrastructure. And that goes across all of these different touch points because as people work from home, as the environment changes, it gives that kind of dark web community, the hacker community, just more and more ability to infiltrate the infrastructure. And we may need to make sure that we're working together as technology companies with our business owners to ensure everything that they do is protected, because the livelihood of the growth of your business is valued on this idea of very strong security. So let's move to the next conversation and let's talk about the hybrid cloud. So many people ask me, and so many conversations happen, especially in this small business space, of Erik, why do you keep talking about this kind of data center business? It feels quite old and archaic. Everybody's going to the public cloud. The public cloud is more secure. It's easier. You start your business there. It's just easier to continue to scale using that same infrastructure. But at Dell Technologies, we do not believe that a one cloud solution is the right one. And I look at three big variables that I think companies and emerging businesses should think about as they think about their data. The first one is reducing IT costs. The way that the public cloud works and continues to work and will continue to work as they build amazing technology, and it's such an important part of your infrastructure, but the more data that you end up building in your infrastructure, whether that's through application, whether that's through intellectual property, customer data, the more and more data that you acquire, the more and more the costs of your cloud infrastructure could go up. We believe at Dell Technologies that the need for a public cloud or a private cloud, as well as a public cloud, continues to be able to manage IT costs at a much better level based on whatever cash flow situation you might be in your business, especially as a new business while you're trying to continue to make money, as you're trying to get more capital. It's very important to be able to keep your costs under control. And we believe that a mix of a private and a public cloud it is the right way to ensure that those IT costs can remain much more flexible within your own growing business. The second one is exactly what we talked about around security. We want to ensure that you are able to have a flexible solution in order to be able to decide where you want to keep the information that you hold near and dear, especially when it comes to intellectual property, especially when it comes around different things that you might need to share across your employee base, to ensure that that flexibility can not only be secure, but it can be also fast, and you can actually increase your productivity based on the speed that you're able to pull things off. There are going to be times where the public cloud is going to have some latency because of updates, et cetera. It always is good to have the ability to have more flexibility in your infrastructure to be able to keep productivity up amongst your workforce. And then the final thing that I will say is that just overall flexibility as an IT manager and or as a business decision maker, it's always important to be able to have the ability to flex between where your data is and is not going. And we believe that at Dell Technologies that this ability to have a private cloud, a public cloud, and what we call the edge cloud is also important as we think about the Internet of Things and as things become much more connected. As all of the equipment that we have within our businesses become more connected, this idea of having this multi-cloud environment becomes much more important for the future and the growth of your business. And that is ultimately why we kind of talk about Dell Technologies in this kind of family of companies, because in order to be able to drive this public cloud solution, it allows us to kind of continue that story about flexible data and being able to be a kind of a data powerhouse as data becomes the way of the future. So as we talk about the Dell Technologies Cloud and we talk about what that ultimately looks like, we believe that this is how businesses scale the quickest. And I know that this kind of goes to the left to the right. It could be potentially go to the, or from the right to the left. It might go from the left to the right, depending on where your business starts. But we have this amazing relationship with VMware that clearly started as a virtualization infrastructure, which is important as we have very mixed environments from the OS specifically, but as applications become built in different environments and data starts coming in from different environments and you have to balance that workload. We know that workload is going to come from both from the public cloud, from potentially a productivity and specific app standpoint. But as you become more apt at infrastructure and the way that you want to actually hold on to intellectual property and some of the other workloads, we understand that having an on-prem infrastructure is also important. And that could be an on-prem infrastructure at a channel partner, at an IT provider. It could be an on-prem solution in your own environment. But we believe that both of these worlds live very, very close together, with VMware sitting in the middle. So as you grow, as your data grows, your IT managers, your IT consultants, people that are working in this environment, use VMware to be able to easily manage workloads, both between an on-prem cloud solution and a public cloud solution. We have fantastic relationships with AWS, with Azure, with Google Cloud, and other cloud partners that are working in the public cloud, knowing that a lot of their customers will want to balance their workload with a more on-premises infrastructure. And with Dell and EMC as a combined company right now, and with some of the highest shares in the server x86 market and the storage market, we're working with partners across this infrastructure to ensure that they can be flexible, they can be more productive, and they can keep costs low. And the more you add, the faster you grow. An infrastructure like this can make you the most nimble as possible, so that you always are flexing up and down the technology you need and able to cut costs as you go. Because multiple times, and especially in this new normal, as people are having to take a hard look at their OpEx line and how they can continue to be productive depending on how big or not big their staff can be, a much more robust infrastructure can help in that productivity. And that's how we think about scalability. The other conversation that I have been having with a lot of emerging businesses out there is this trend of as a service. Now, as a service clearly started in the software arena, where subscription-based software has become, I mean, talk about up and to the right. It has been on fire nonstop, driving, whether it has been, your Zoom license, whether it's been your productivity licenses, having a much more CapEx-based solution to be able to be paying monthly and yearly for your standard software has been a huge trend for a while, and it's only getting bigger. What Dell Technologies, as well as some of our competitors, have been looking like is that if software is going to be the leader there, then hardware and technology solutions is not going to be far behind. So what we've done at Dell Technologies, especially for our small and medium business community, is we have come up with a program called Dell Technologies PC as a Service, where we want to include that hardware, software. We want to include deployment in some cases. We want to include support services so that you're always protected with our pro support services, as well as asset recovery, so that in every 3 years, you're able to kind of scale up that technology to keep up with the latest and greatest, which really helps with security. And with Dell Financial Services, which is a huge backing that we have in our company, we're able to drive leasing solutions that allows that to happen very, very quickly while actually improving your business credit. So this idea of not only your software, but now your overall technology solution being as a service is really starting to gain steam. And you've probably read multiple white papers about it. You've probably talked to some consultants about it, around how this will be a major way that people will consume technology in the future. It is a great way, it's a couple of things. It's a great way to scale, which is what we think is the most important part, to keep your technology up and running and as up to date as possible. But it's also a way to kind of balance your finances in a much different way than we're used to. This allows us to kind of almost allow Dell Technologies to take on that kind of asset while you continue to simply almost rent it. And ultimately have that ability to own it at the end, if that's what you so choose. But the financial flexibility that you have in the way that you own this in your own P&Ls is quite exciting for a lot of companies. Now, I will tell you that across the market, while this is gaining steam, it is not going even nearly as quickly as software went. Because what we're hearing from our emerging businesses is that they need more flexibility in payment options. For example, right now at Dell, it's based on a fair market value lease. That is, obviously quite exciting for some that want to build up their business credit, but some might want to just put it on their credit card every single month. And we're working through a lot of those solutions with our customers to understand how we actually continue to build on this solution, because we do believe that it is the way that technology will be consumed in the future, in an easier way to consume it in the future. Finally, I wanted to talk to you all, and one of the reasons we wanted to sponsor this program is because we understand that entrepreneurship is a critical component of this organization. And we also believe that as Michael Dell started this company as one of the most iconic entrepreneurs there has been in the last 5 decades, we wanted to build a program specifically for entrepreneurs to remind entrepreneurs that we have been there since the beginning, that it is one of our core competencies when it comes to technology. And we want to make sure that we provide programs and solutions that are tailored to entrepreneurs. The first is making sure that capital continues to be king for you. We know that capital is important to grow your business, and we want to be a part of that conversation. While we are not actually giving funds to grow your business, what we are offering are different financial solutions for your technology, so you don't have to tie up your capital in your technology purposes. What we can do is we can use Dell Financial Services to offset some of that capital expense, to be able to put you on the payment product that actually works best for you, and then ultimately builds your business credits as you start your new business. The second one is we want to make sure that we continue to leverage your technology with Dell. The great thing about Dell Technologies and what Michael's vision has been is we can actually take you from a startup all the way to a large enterprise, whether it's from a desktop or a notebook to the accessories you might need at the beginning, to adding 10 employees, to adding infrastructure, whether that's storage solution, whether that's public cloud or private cloud. We are one of the few technology companies out there that continues to drive innovation from the PC all the way to the cloud. And that is really important as we talk about our entrepreneurs and where they are on their journey. The next one is that we provide small business advisors, or Dell, now called branded Dell Technologies advisors. We do not believe that sales should be a fundamental item at Dell Technologies. Our job is to advise, and our job is to provide the best technology solutions for all of our customers, starting with the entrepreneurs. So each one of you that decides to sign up for Dell Technologies for entrepreneurs is given a dedicated account manager and a Dell Technologies advisor to walk you through that journey. Finally, we know that incentives are always good. And so we are not afraid to reward based on purchases with us. So we are offering our entrepreneur customers up to 6% back in Dell rewards and free expedited delivery, so that we can continue to get them to save off of future purchases with Dell and always get the best price that there is in the market. And finally, we are offering networking events and newsletters and webinars and certifications and different trainings to ensure our entrepreneurs are always up to speed on the latest and greatest in technology, to give them forums to where they believe that there is no dumb questions when it comes to technologies. I am not, it does not fall on deaf ears that I know technology is not the most exciting topic to talk about at some of these conferences, but it's important. I would probably say it is as important, if not more important these days as capital is, because it's technology that's going to drive these ideas into the future. And without technology, these ideas and these innovations and these entrepreneurial spirits could not be come to realization. And so we want to make sure that we're providing thought leadership content to our entrepreneur space so that they have forums and avenues so that they can continue to grow in their thought and their repertoire around technology to make them even better at what they're trying to create. Clearly, if you want more about this program, please feel free to visit us at dell.com/entrepreneurs. And we'll constantly work with TiEcon to make sure that these benefits continue to get to you. And with that said, I think we're on to questions and answers. So I appreciate the time to share some of these ideas that we have within this new normal. I know that you all are dealing with some quite extreme situations with the new environment, and I hope this was beneficial to you, and I look forward to answering your questions. Minnie, over to you.
Yep, thank you, Eric. I think this was a fantastic presentation and really very insightful for people who are starting new and as an entrepreneur. So I have a couple questions, and I also have a question for you, Eric. So one of them that I saw in the coming from the audience is, today the greatest risk of worldwide catastrophe is pandemic. How technology matters in this period?
Yeah, I think it's twofold. The first is where I spend a majority of my presentation is that technology plays a huge role in our ability to continue to do our work as we recover from the pandemic. It is clear, especially in the US with cases going up, that this new world of having to work remote is going to continue to be a big part of our world. And we need technology to be able to allow people to work from wherever they need to, both for productivity and for sanity. I know, for instance, I'm from Texas. It's 110 degrees there. Because of the technology that I've been given, I was able to pack up my car and my dog, drive to northern Michigan so that I can, not be in 105-degree heat and still get my job done. Technology plays a huge role in that, and having the right infrastructure and the right technology in the hands of the people that you decide to hire for your new business is critical, and it allows to hire and staff the very best. You cannot be an emerging business, a business that wants to grow and scale and give your employees and the people that you hire subpar technology. It just doesn't work. And so it helps with hiring and staffing, it helps with the ability to be remote, et cetera. So I think that's a big piece. The other piece I would say where technology plays, which I touched on a little bit, and this is a hard one, right? Because nobody wants to hear this, but emerging businesses have to watch cost. If they're going to make an entrepreneur's dream is for their idea to be successful. For their idea to be successful, they need a couple of things. They need customers and they need infrastructure for it to continue to grow. And they need to be able to afford the infrastructure that they need, whether that's human capital, whether that's money capital, whether it's technology capital, in order to make that business thrive. In this day and age, it is not always easy for a company to add more people if technology is able to do that at a different cost. And so I think what technology allows us to do is it allows us to be able to at least have that conversation. There are definitely things that technology cannot do, but there is definitely things that technology can do. I've been talking to entrepreneurs all over who are using technology to help fight this virus every day. And it's allowed them to keep going with their idea without having to take on a lot of additional capital or a little different additional cost. So I think really technology plays those two critical roles in this pandemic world.
Very well said. And I think that's so true, especially in this new normal, especially for entrepreneurs who really can't travel much. But I think technology is a big enablement for that.
That's
so
right.
I totally agree on that. So one question is, which is basically, I think it's from me. And I think I'm speaking on behalf of these entrepreneurs. So I saw the last slide was very helpful. I think I'm hoping the entrepreneurs have made a note of this, that the 5 pointers where, Dell can really add value. So my question is, how do they get started? Do they go to that website? Do they enroll? What do you suggest is the starting point?
Absolutely. So once you go to the website, there are ways that you can contact our entrepreneurship team, and we will 100% get in contact with you quickly so that we can get you hooked up with a dedicated Dell Technology advisor. Once hooked up with the Dell Technology advisor, the sky is the limit. The way that we train our advisors is to give you the ability to scale with your business, to have that conversation of, hey, I have 3 employees. I want to get them the very best technology. I have this much to spend. I need to make sure that it's secure. It can be as simple as that. The other thing that we make sure that we talk about is that we know that in the entrepreneur space, the technology knowledge spectrum is all over the place. From I have no idea or barely know how to turn my computer on to I'm a technology company and I probably know more about technology than you do, Dell Technologies. And we know that we have to be able to scale based on the knowledge that our entrepreneurs have on technology. Our Dell Technologies advisors do that. And we simply want to do, 3 major things. We want to answer questions. We want to understand what your needs are, and we want to build you end-to-end solutions that get you to the goals that you have for your company. And a lot of times we have a lot of entrepreneurs that have an amazing business case, but they haven't talked about an IT business case. Our Dell Technology advisors allow us to kind of help you together build that business case, not only for now, but also the future based on your growth plans. So those are the kind of major elements that I think that we can do. And then once we do that, then we can start tackling on some of those incentives, right? We can start through your advisor, we can start talking to you about the content. We can start talking about the awards. We can talk to you about how we get you the technology to scale your business, et cetera. So those are the ways that you would start so that we can get you hooked up directly.
That is, I think, immense source of help to the entrepreneurs. And I just one last follow-up to this, and I'm assuming that advisors can help them go across different markets to in different countries, which they may have experience, right? Okay. Absolutely.
Yeah. So we are a global business. So clearly we're based here out of California, but we have clearly a large North America business. But our emerging business or our small business division is global. We have everywhere from Europe. We have a large business in India. We have a large business in China. Japan is a major market for us, Brazil. And we have these programs globally. So as you kind of grow, we can make sure that you're hooked up with the right geography so that the right advisors are happening based on where your business is located.
Great. Erik, thank you so much. I don't have any more questions, but I'm sure people who have been on this panel have really valued and have learned a lot. And I'm sure you will see a lot of us coming to your website for more advice. So appreciate and thank you so much for this valuable session.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.